Welcome to Learning Insights by All Cloud. This is our platform where we are reeling our thoughts on the lending industry. And today is a very special podcast, a full house, of course, in collaboration with ID5. We have our three distinguished guests who will be throwing a lot of nuggets of knowledge, light on the MSME sector, the MSME lending sector in toto. So now guys, let's dive into it. I would like to introduce our guest today. We've got Riju Ray, Chief Business Officer, ID5. We've got Ajit Menon, Group Head Operations of Everything Capital. And we've got Shaunak from TransUnion SSPL. So quite a full house, a very diverse, a very diverse forum here that will be discussing various aspects of MSME lending. Fantastic. But getting back to the focus on the MSME sector, I would really want you guys to give your view. How do you see the sector behaving in the next 3-5 years, especially, we're talking about becoming a third largest economy in the world. The contribution of MSMEs is really required. Where do you see this moving? In which sectors do you see this, propelling the entire economic engine?
Sure. Sure. So I think we are at a cusp of. See, the next 10 years are critical, right? It's India's decade, right? But a lot of things have to be gotten right. You've got to get inclusion right. You've got to get data democratization right. You've got to get penetration right. You've got to get distribution right.
You've got to get fraud right as well.
You've got to get fraud right. I mean, it goes without saying. And all these are only possible if I've got fraud as qualified, right? So let me put it that way, so that he feels better. That's a reality.
Yeah.
So I think you've got to get the fraud right, of course. I think a lot of these things have to magically align. When I say magically align, there's a lot of work that needs to go behind ensuring that these. So while we keep speaking about the MSME opportunity, I think all the pieces of puzzles are actually coming together now, with a lot of ancillary technologies. The cost of actually building a stack today is diminishing.
Yes.
Amazon gives you a lot of credits to actually run, a small development team, and I wouldn't want to, and especially there is a credit that is provided to, an MSME to operate their cloud. And I get credits. So this is only going to go up, because it's a huge market, which is just about. So we are largely all about consumption, because it's a young country.
Yes.
Right. And I think that demographic window is fast closing. And if you do not, because there'll be a lot of entrepreneurs who will come into the fold. There'll be a lot more MSMEs who will come into the fold, who will actually require financing, who will need to be grown, so to say, from that point onwards. So a lot of these elements which I spoke about has to magically align to ensure that it is well oiled and they are not credit starved.
And
I think of it as somebody used the wording, you use the word retailization.
Yeah.
But I think you also spoke about it a bit. So the retailization of it, I think, is inevitable. Yeah. To me, it's a case where 10 days will shrink to 5 to 1
yes.
to minutes very soon. I'm going to see that shift in 5 years' time for sure.
100%.
It's going to move there. And the government is obviously helping, quite keen to make that happen too. And so it wouldn't be unnatural to expect that retailization to happen in the 5-year time frame. I feel that the other important thing that's happening is that, in terms of I spoke about the fraud part of it. I just feel that architecturally, we are, at a point where we have normalized this interaction of fraud. Like, who isn't a victim to payment fraud today? And we haven't thought of it truly too well. And the complexity of entity fraud is the next level of magnitude to an individual fraud, because it's composed of different individuals.
And
there are aspects of money laundering, there are aspects of like social engineering, of entity names that sound like each other, all kinds of relationships where they come in, etc. Where this is going to become so rampant, it's so easy to take people for a ride, that one has to think about it from design principles to solve it. We seem to sweep it under the carpet a little bit, and I feel like in the pursuit of retailization, we should not forget these core principles of fraud, and we should build it into our design so that these don't become massively disruptive to our economy. I feel like sometimes you need the brakes to move fast, so you need to make sure that in your car you build those brakes in a lot. It's not just about making it damn easy, it's also about building it in the right manner,
Checks
design
and
wise.
balances in
Correct.
place.
Yeah, and we call that friction, right? Customer experience.
Yeah.
So a lot of what is happening is automation and parameterization, and that's increasingly going to happen, especially towards the lower end, which is going to see that retailization, and that's going to really spur the growth of the sector. And yes, in terms of runway, of course, MSME has a huge runway with the availability of data, with fraud tools, ID tools, which are coming our way. I think it's a good prospect for the
And I
sector.
think just to supplement to Shaurak's point is it'll also separate the wheat from the chaff. Right? What I mean by saying that is that because now there is a lens on somebody's credit score, I am then forced to correct my behavior because I'll be excluded from the credit net, so to say. So I am excluded because I have bad behavior. This will also set the behavior right, because if I need financial inclusion, or if I need to be a part of the formal credit economy, I need to behave well when it comes to credit behavior. So that also pushes.
Exactly.
It's like a seeding leaching sort of an equation where it automatically corrects, because then I would see my peer getting the loan, but I don't get the loan because I have had bad behavior. I've been a bad boy. Maybe he's left some dues on the card, and maybe he's not repaid a few EMIs. When it starts hurting, because now he or she knows that, oh, you know what, I can't go scot-free. This will get noticed at some point in time. It's already getting noticed. Okay. So until such time that it is a clean sweep and I essentially go and repay all that is supposed to be repaid, only then when the behavior is corrected and go on a longer time series. So people will automatically, this will just make it slightly more effective. In fact, it will actually accelerate the whole thing. Like COVID accelerated work from home, which people said was never possible because India largely is low trust economy. Right? But today, I think COVID was the world's largest work from home experiment.
Yeah. Also, I think I'd like to add on this thing. You just said that people will pay because there is the civil score threat, the bureau score threat, or that matter. That they don't know that we're also doing the crime check. So even if you are a good boy in the credit and you are a bad boy in terms of your
it's
behavior, you tie it up
It's
together.
just corroboration, of course. You do not want to give a passport to somebody. Today, if you go and get a passport, it's almost impossible for a criminal to get a passport, correct? Yeah. Which was not the case 20 years ago, because criminal records were not digitized. Today, I could just put in your name. If you look at cop cars today on the road, in Bangalore or Chennai, most cars have computers.
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
They do. So let's look at, it's a completely different topic. You're driving on the roads, you could have a yellow plate or a normal plate, and the guy could immediately stop. All he has is a small device. In fact, that's his mobile phone with an app, and he has access, he has the government access to check what fines are pending. So today, I can check, what fines are pending by simply running your number plate through that system, and it will tell you what traffic fines are pending.
Yeah.
So when you go for an insurance renewal, the insurance company has the data that, this guy has had 30 signal jumps in the last year, premium should bump up by 10%, because he has the propensity to. So that is that's not happened yet.
Yeah.
There is a lot of data available in cars today because cars are connected, right? So if you were to, so there is something called as a OBD port under your car. All cars have it. And when you take it for a service, the first thing that the technician does is it takes the laptop and connects it into the OBD port, and it actually runs the diagnostics to check what are the error codes in the body control module. And he just clears it, figures out, and then that's how you diagnose the car. But it will also give you a lot of telemetry. Correct. Telemetry is basically how hard you brake, how rapid you accelerate, how much do you hold the clutch, how rapid do you accelerate, is there rapid acceleration, deceleration, etc. That should basically give me a map of how you drive. Is it more gradual acceleration, gradual deceleration? What are the top speeds? Where do you drive? There is a lot of telemetry available.
A bizarre point came to me. I'm sorry to interrupt you. Imagine my driver's driving and I'm driving.
Yeah.
You'll actually find the same device getting completely confused.
Absolutely. No, but see, the point is that whether you drive or the driver drives, the car still belongs to you. So you are being underwritten, not your driver.
But there's an interesting point out here with probably with retail, of course, but with MSMEs too.
Sorry to interrupt, which means it's time for a new driver. So there is a correlation, right? If you're paying higher premiums because you've had a bad driver, change driver. The premiums go down the next
So let's say you are applying for a loan and you have a bad credit score. It's quite easy to go and ask your wife for her PAN card and then to apply.
Absolutely.
But it's still you apply. And
But then that's again, you get that into the system, right? So you can check the family members.
There are DDP methodologies for that as well.
exactly. So one has to look at those factors as well.
I think it's already on.
Yeah, I think it's one of the part of the core
Yeah.
review functionality that you look at.
It is.
Common addresses.
Common
Common
addresses.
addresses.
Yeah,
all that.
yeah.
Common surnames, pin codes. You map two of them together.
You don't really go far. I mean, common surnames is one. Even if you don't have the common surname, the dedupe mechanism will immediately throw a red flag if the same address.
Yeah, same.
Name, DOB address, few things like mobile number.
No, I'm saying even if it doesn't
Yeah.
catch on the DOB, etc.,
Yeah.
because these are heterogeneous, right? So
Yeah.
you could have different DOB, different names.
Exactly.
But my wife would assume my name as well, right? And then, but even if you discount that, it would still she would have the same address as on the passport, assuming it's the same address. Then
That's
that would
if you apply to the same lender. But let's say he knows his bureau score.
Hmm.
He'll just ask his wife to.
no, but it is just a matter of time, Riju, because it just catches up. Because ultimately there is something called a spoil, right? So you can't do that with multiple lenders. You can only do that up to a ratio in your income, right? You could do that, but that still does not put a systemic risk to the financial system because you've exhausted your lines by applying for credit. Yeah, that's about it. You could do that with 3, but not more than that.
But on a serious note, just one last point on your question on trends for the MSME sector. We've spoken about how this expansion of data, formal data, will ease access to credit, right? I think the other thing is how will it change the customer experience? And I think that's already happening to an extent in terms of bunch of things. If we are pre-filling a bunch of information, so the entire experience of a customer filling out a digital form has already become much easier. It'll only happen, it'll only get for the better in the future.
It's got elastic search. I don't need to. I mean, all you need to do is put in your company name and it'll give you the elastic search. You just have to click on the drop down and
Select what is right.
and you can just leave the page, come back in 3 days. The data still remains. So a lot of these things.
Ease of use,
Yeah.
and with experience.
Experience, yeah. Complete fetch and full,
Yes.
which is already a reality in a way.
Yeah.
So much information.
Why do you think companies are investing in product teams?
Yeah.
So, customer is the king.
Yeah, most B schools today are all the students. For some reason, there is certain B school which only gives the product guys. You go to that B school and hire. I don't know why. But
Yeah, certain B schools are exactly right.
I think it's a very interesting conversation. Thank you, Riju, Ajit, Shaunak. Thank you very much. I think it's been a really insightful conversation. We've had some deep conversations, moving to different domains, but coming back to the topic at hand, that is MSME lending. This is something very important. We are watching it, and I'm sure that if the economy has to grow, MSMEs are the growth engines. Right. So. Thank you for joining in, and we'll keep posting more content on Lending Insights by All Club, and look forward to seeing you again. Thank you.
Thank you.
thank you.